स्क्रीन चेंज करंतु सर मीट स्क्रीन टा दियंतु एटा स्क्रीन स्टार्ट शेयर कर दीजिए लिंक सर
सेटा रेमंडी कॉलेज जेमती कहितले
लिंक मिलुनी
केडी मु कहि देछि मैडम सब सिख देछि मिलुनी स्टार्ट करो स्टार्ट करो
Good afternoon. Welcome to all of you. I am Sanjay Kumar Gaira on behalf of Mahanadi College, Remuna, would like to heartily welcome all the participants joining today's webinar on biodiversity conservation and environmental protection in Odisha. We know biodiversity means a range of variation among all forms of life, whether plants or animals. Due to excessive exploitation of the natural resources, loss of biodiversity is taking place at alarming rate, and the causes are deforestation, shifting cultivation in forest area leads to destruction of forest diversity, increase in livestock population, diversion of forest land for industry, illicit removal of tree from forest. But now this is the time to conserve our biodiversity. Otherwise, we are going to face several difficulties in future. We should sunset our biodiversity conservation not only in Odisha but also in the whole world. I hope this is a good topic, and in this topic we will discuss some of the important questions like as conservation of biodiversity and its protection in Odisha is necessary in the present situation. How the biodiversity will be conserved in Odisha? What are the procedures we should follow to protect our environment? Today we have with us two eminent speakers, Dr. Ranendra Kumar Nayak, Reader in Environmental Science and Director, CDC, Fakirmon University, Bangladesh, and Dr. Rabindra Kumar Mishra, Assistant Professor, Department of Wildlife and Biodiversity Conservation, North Odisha University, Bangladesh. Before going to the topic, I would like to request our Principal Madam, Mrs. Jayanti Naik, for welcome address. Madam, please.
हम ठीक टाइम में स्ट्रीमिंग स्टार्ट है
Thank you. Good afternoon. Welcome to all of you. Today we are going to discuss webinar topic on biodiversity conservation and environmental protection in Odisha, which is very relevant topic for all. We know the ecosystem in which we live that provides natural services for humans and all other species that are essential to our health, quality of life and survival. Everyone wants to maintain healthy life as they wish to become too luxurious for healthy life. Without hesitating about the importance of environment. But environment gives us everything for existence of life on the planet Earth, and the Earth is a home for different species. We get air, water and other needs from our environment. Therefore, environment protection is important for every individual. We should think about the source of basic needs, where we are getting and how. Instead, we are thinking about our self-interest due to our selfish character and more ambitious to quench our thirst. We are destroying our environment by deforestation. As a result, we are getting climate change, soil erosion, poor air quality, and undrinkable water. So we should give protection to our environment by changing our behavior, attitude towards nature, and being conscious about our to get healthy shelter, which is great significance for all. The environment and the economy are really both two sides of the coin. If we cannot sustain ourselves, each and everyone should think about the duty and responsibility to biodiversity conservation, not only in Odisha, but also in the whole world. The preservation of biodiversity is not just a job of the government, the government organization, the private sector, and each and every individual have a role to play in changing entrenched outlooks and ending destructive patterns of behaviors. We should be aware in this matter. Thanks to Botany Department vision to choose this type of valuable topic and encourage us about this serious matter in this pandemic situation. I hope our esteemed speaker, Dr. Ranendra Kumar Naik, reader in Environmental Science and Director CDC in FM University, and Honorable Speaker Dr. Ravindra Kumar Misra, Assistant Professor, Department of Wildlife and Biodiversity Conservation, North Odisha University, will satisfy our participants who are waiting eagerly to listen. Lastly, I want to say we cannot protect the environment unless we empower people, inform them, and help them understand that these resources are our own, that we must protect these ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. You are always our inspiration. Under your guidance, each and everything is developed in our college. Now this is the time to listen something about our keynote speaker, Dr. Ranendra Kumar Naik. Ranendra sir has already completed 28 years in teaching. He has worked in Government College of Odisha as a faculty in Botany. He has guided many scholars. Out of them, 3 scholars have been awarded PhD degree and 6 scholars in MPhil degree. He has published more than 50 research papers in various national and international level journals, and he has presented more than 60 research papers in various seminars, workshops, and conferences. Sir has been awarded Environmentalist of the Year 2003 by National Environmental Science Academy, New Delhi. Fellow of Indian Association Taxonomy, Calicut in the year 2006. Gopinath Panigrahi Memorial Award in the year 2018 and nominated as an environmental expert for eco-sensitive zones of Kuldia Wildlife Sanctuary by the Ministry of Environment and Forest, Government of India. Welcome, sir, to this webinar. Sir, kindly deliver your talk.
Good afternoon to everybody. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, esteemed principal, Madam Dr. Jayanti Naik of Remuna Degree College, and esteemed the head of the department, Mr. Sanjay Kumar Behera, then your members of IQAC and co-convener Mrs. Anjana Das, and organizing secretary Mrs. Rasmita Punya, members of the faculty of Remuna Degree College, and dear students. So it is a matter of great pleasure on my part to become associated with the state level webinar. In fact, in this present day of COVID pandemic, this webinar have united all of us. And at the outset, I congratulate all the members of this Remuna Degree College for taking this step to have a webinar. And in fact, as the director CDC of FM University, I am very much proud that one of the premier college of our university, Remuna Degree College, which is recognized as a very potential college and have been accredited by B++. In fact, being a government-aided college, this college is a very strong pillar of this FM University. Our FM University, just like a big banyan tree, having a lot of pillars which provide support to the entire tree. And in fact, this initiative by Remuna Degree College is a source of inspiration to other affiliated colleges of FM University. Through this webinar, all the members, participants, including the students, will get an opportunity to have a close interaction on the topic that I have got, that is the biodiversity conservation and environmental protection in the state of Odisha. In fact, this topic has got much relevance, and myself and also my co-speaker, we have decided to give a broad idea about this biodiversity of the state of Odisha and its role in the protection of the environment. And we have seen that in the present time, this global warming as well as this global climatic change have given rise to a number of environmental hazards, and the best method to combat this problem is to take various initiatives for the conservation of the biodiversity. Now let me just show you the slides. I think the slide is visible to all of us.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So actually, this biodiversity conservation and environmental protection are very closely related to each other. So just let me introduce you what do we mean by biodiversity. Biodiversity or biological diversity means the variability among the living organisms from all sources, and these sources includes our terrestrial, marine, and also other aquatic systems. And this we know that this diversity is the law of the nature. When we discuss about this Darwin's principles of evolution, we see that it is the inherent tendency of the nature to bring variation, and this variation also brought out by the living organisms in order to adjust with the changing environment. In the environment, there is always struggle for existence, and we know that that struggle brings about variation among living organisms. And we see that this variation or biodiversity, it includes diversity within a species, between species, and also ecosystems. Species includes group of organisms, so it includes the group of organisms that can interbreed with each other. And we see that in that variation is always brought about among plants, animals, and microorganisms. I want to say that this state level webinar on the biodiversity of Odisha particularly has got much importance. It is because the state of Odisha, it has rich biodiversity. Because of its geographical location, we have long stretches of coasts, hilly mountain peaks, and as a result, this geographical situation provides the development of ample scope for the biodiversity. And we know that this biodiversity, it is very rich in the tropical countries compared to temperate countries. We are very lucky that the nature has provided us huge amount of biodiversity resources on the surface of the earth, as well as it has also provided huge amount of mineral resources under the surface of the earth. The thing is that we have to take a very judicious decision regarding the utilization of these mineral resources as well as biodiversity. Because when you go for mining of these mineral resources, there is loss of biodiversity. I'm just giving you an example. When the Balco project was in the Gandhamardhan Hills, this Gandhamardhan Hills is an important mountain ecosystem. It has got this epic fame. Lord Hanuman has taken this mountain for the Sanjimari medicines, and now this hill, this Gandhamardhan Hill, is a rich source of biodiversity of our state. It has huge amount of medicinal plants, but under its surface, it contains huge amount of bauxite ore. And in fact, the mining have already been started or by the resentment of the local people, and one premier scientist of our state, Dr. Gopinath Panigrahi, that project, Balco project, has come to an halt. My point is, we should take a very judicious decision regarding the conservation as well as sustainable utilization of this biodiversity. And you know that this biodiversity, it has got much importance. These are, as already the principal madam have already introduced us, that this biodiversity fulfills three basic needs: food, clothing, as well as shelter. And this biodiversity is a source of medicinal plants, mostly herbal medicines. All of us knows about the importance of these herbal medicines in COVID pandemic. I will just elaborate my talk little bit more because I know the second speaker may or may not come because he has some problems. So I will just take a little bit more time, and we will also discuss some aspects, just little aspects about this mountain ecosystem, and I shall tell in detail about this coastal ecosystem. And we know that till now successful vaccines have not been developed for the treatment of this COVID pandemic. And we always say prevention is better than cure. We doctors have suggested us to take kada, and these are nothing but herbal medicines. These biodiversity, these are the source of the herbal medicines. Hence, unless we preserve and utilize this biodiversity, we cannot properly develop what type of plants can be used for the treatments of various diseases, including the immunity that can be provided by the plants during this COVID pandemic. And medicines also we obtain from animals as well as from microorganisms. And this biodiversity, it has got much environmental significance, the topic of today's webinar. This biodiversity, they control the cyclones and the tsunami. We know that our state, Odisha, nature has provided us different types of biodiversity for our protection. The Mother Earth in the state of Odisha have rich amount of mountain biodiversity as well as coastal biodiversity. It is because our state, Odisha, is susceptible to cyclones as well as tsunami. We all recall the damage caused during the Super Cyclone. And it is the Mangrove Ecosystem, which we call as Hentalabana in our local language, provides natural protection against this biodiversity that I will show you in your coming slides. This biodiversity also helps for control of soil erosion as well as global warming and global climatic change. All of us realize now it is the month of November, but we are still using fans and also AC. It is because of global warming. And this global warming is because of the increase in the concentration of carbon dioxide. It is because of industrialization. And the best method to protect us from this greenhouse effect or global warming is to have more plantations, because plants, they absorb this poisonous gas carbon dioxide, which is primarily responsible for this global warming. So when we have more biodiversity on the Earth's surface, the concentration of carbon dioxide will decrease. So it is because of this, now the conservation of the biodiversity is no more a local initiative. It has become a global initiative. UNO, starting from the UNO, United Nations Environmental Program, initiative for the conservation of the biodiversity is being taken at global level. It is because if we have more biodiversity in India, it can also lower down the global warming in USA, United States of America. Even though our country is a tropical country, our temperature is a little bit higher, this increase in temperature is unbearable for us. But at the same time, this increase in temperature will cause the melting of the polar ice cap, that will cause the rise in the sea level, and the areas in the USA will be flooded by water. So, as such, destruction of biodiversity in a particular region will cause harm of the environment all over the world. And we know that this conservation of the biodiversity is also very much essential to combat this global climatic change. We have seen now the global climatic change is a matter of great concern today, which have got a number of environmental disasters. And this biodiversity, it has also got much socio-economic importance. We have forest-based industries, agro-industries, etc. And these are based upon the biodiversity. Biodiversity conservation is also very much essential for the germplasm conservation. Germplasm is nothing but the unit of propagation, conservation of genes. And we know there is an international body called IUCN, International Union for the Conservation of Natural and Natural Resources. It has divided various species of plants and animals into various groups. Rare species, that means those species whose number is much less. threatened species, some species of plants as well as animals whose existence is threatened. Also endangered species like your tiger and lion, and a number of plants like your Biodiversity serpentina, which we call Sarpagandha or Patalagaruda in regional language. These species we can categorize them as endangered species because their existence is a danger. Unless we take protection, time will come. These species will become extinct from the earth surface. So, the germplasm conservation is very much essential, as well as the conservation of endemic species. Endemic species are those species which are native to a locality. For example, mango is endemic to India. Its botanical name is Mangifera indica. It is native to India. So native species should be conserved. And you know, another example of germplasm conservation, I am talking about the conservation of rice. For example, because it is the state level seminar, I am just telling you that our state is very rich with biodiversity, hence it has got much relevance. When you come to the region, our district is Baleswar district, and this Baleswar district is famous for three things. We say Dhana, Pano and Mino, rice, betel and fishes. You must know that this Baleswar district has many varieties of rice, and these genes of rice or germplasm should be conserved for our future crop improvement programs. Unless it is conserved, this gene pool will be destroyed. And you know, loss of genes is very much disastrous for us because these genes are very much useful for these crop improvement programs, which we call it as green revolution. Green revolution or increase in the food production is possible because of the valuable genes. Then when you talk about the biodiversity, this biodiversity is basically divided into three types. One is genetic diversity, another is species diversity, and third one is ecosystem diversity. Genetic diversity reflects the diversity at very micro level. That is the difference in the genetic constitution, gene or DNA among living organisms. And we know, as per this Mendelian principles of inheritance, Gregor Johann Mendel, who is called as the father of genetics, he says that no two individuals are strictly alike. It is because the genes of two organisms are different. The genes of two organisms are different. And next is species diversity, that reflects to the variety of species in a given area. Species includes group of individuals which can interbreed with each other. Rice is a species, mango is a species, man is a species, etc., etc. And then comes the ecosystem diversity. Ecosystem is the interaction between the biotic and abiotic component or living and non-living component in the nature. And we see that a long variation or different types of variation exist in different types of ecosystem. We have various types of ecosystem, mountain ecosystem, for example, Similpal biosphere reserve, coastal ecosystem like Bhitarkanika, mangroves of Sundarban area. These are all examples of coastal ecosystems. And we say ecosystem also shows variation, that is called ecosystem diversity. As such, this biodiversity is basically of three types, and each type has got special significance. And we know that in the present time, this biodiversity has a number of threats, and these threats includes your population explosion. This leads to urbanization, industrialization, and industrialization, for example, there is industrialization in the Paradip area. So that has caused the loss of the mangrove forest. Urbanization in the Paradip area, that has caused loss of the mangrove forest. and there is loss or fragmentation of habitats in different areas, and also sometimes spread of invasive species. Invasive species includes those species, outside species that competes with the natural species. We know about this Congress gas or Parthenium. When it comes, it compete with the normal plants and it won't allow other plants to grow. That causes the loss of natural biodiversity. And also the climate change, that also causes is a serious threat to the biodiversity. And we know that this climate change, which is now a burning topic in the present time, it has got much impact upon the biodiversity. And we know that this climate change, some also very often, it brings about a number of changes in the number, life cycle, behavior, and genetic evolution of various species among living organisms. And we know that this climate, it plays a very important role in the biological system. The development of vegetation, for example, such as rainforest, grassland forest, desert forest, deciduous forest, coniferous forest, tundra forest, are similar at similar latitudes and altitudes in different parts of the world. So just knowing about the latitudes and altitudes and climates, we can have a prediction about the vegetation or biodiversity of a particular area in any part of the world. And we know that this climate also or the vegetation also develops depending upon the distance from the equator and also height from the sea level, temperature, moisture, etc. And so far as today's webinar is concerned, already I have told you that this biodiversity plays a very important role in the protection of the ecosystem or the protection of the environment. Each ecosystem, may be mountain ecosystem, coastal ecosystem, desert ecosystem, plays a significant role for the protection of the environment. It is because environment has created them for our protection. And today's I will give thrust on the topic, that is role of mangrove ecosystem in the protection of the coastal environment. We know our state Odisha have long stretched coasts, and mangroves are special groups of salt tolerant plants. We call it as Hentala Bana in a local language. These mangroves, these are very salt tolerant species. These are very complex, dynamic ecosystem, and these are found mostly in the estuary regions in different parts of the world. And we know that our state Odisha, we are very lucky to have mangroves. These mangrove plants, they can sustain in the estuarine area where river meets sea. Only mangrove plants can sustain there, not other plants can. It is because they have three important adaptations. One is nematophores, a special type of root which grow upwards, helps in gaseous exchange or respiration of the plants. Another is viviparous germination of seed within the fruits, because if the seed falls upon the ground, it will not germinate and the plant cannot develop. It is because on the lower side, on the ground, there is saline water that comes by the tidal inundation, and presence of salt excretory glands. We know that in the seashore only saline water is there, so the plants, they do not have any other option but to take salty water, and this excess salt they liberate outside through the salt excretory glands. These are some of the adaptive features of the mangroves I have already told you. They have also one type of root, that is crop root, which also help for checking soil erosion. With the help of that root, this plant can withstand the high velocity of wind. And we know that these are some of the ecological adaptations of the mangroves. They have adaptations, physical adaptations, crop roots, steel root, and nematophores, and also special adaptations for viviparous germination for reproduction as well as salt tolerant plants. So with the help of these adaptive features, these mangrove plants plays a significant role in the protection of the coastal environment. In fact, these mangrove plants have got a number of environmental significance. These are the biodiversity hotspots, special significance unique to a locality, and these mangrove plants provide the shelter for fish, migratory birds like Bhitarkanika, that is salt turtle, crocodiles, sea turtles, etc. And they help also in the carbon sequestration. Excess amount of carbon dioxide in the coastal areas are also absorbed by these mangrove plants. These mangrove plants also help as UV radiation protectors. They reduce the effect of the greenhouse like other plants, and also they minimize the effect of cyclones and tsunami. Also they stabilize the coastal shores, and these mangrove plants provide ground for the fishes and other aquatic organisms. We know the largest mangrove formation is the Sundarban Delta, where you will find the Royal Bengal tigers are there. In the mangroves of Bhitarkanika, we find the salt turtle crocodiles, sea turtles. The sea turtles come from the Pacific Oceans to lay their eggs there. So as such, these mangrove plants have a number of environmental significance. And we know this, like this climate change, it has impact upon the mangrove vegetations. There is melting of the ice cap, which causes change in the salinity of water that affects the distribution of the mangroves. Because there are different mangrove species, and each mangrove species they develop in a particular saline concentration. So as such, this climate change have a number of impacts on the mangroves of the Odisha coast. That is the rise in the sea level, and also increase in the atmospheric carbon dioxide, rise in the surface temperature of the water, change in precipitation, and this has increased the frequency and intensity of the oceanic cyclones. We can recall the impact of the Super Cyclone in the year 1999. It has got much damage. However, we have observed that the damage was much less in the Bhitarkanika area because there is thick mangrove, that is the national park. And the damage was much more in the Mahanadi Delta, in Paradip area, Ersama area, mostly in the Jagatsinghpur, Cuttack and other nearby districts. In my research work, I have observed that this super cyclone, it has also much effect upon these mangroves of the Sartha estuary that I shall show you in my last part of my slides. So in general, the mangrove plants found in the state of Odisha can be broadly divided into the mangroves of the following regions, which includes Bhitarkanika, Mahanadi Delta, Devi Estuary, Dhamara Estuary, Sartha Estuary, and also this Talasari Beach and Vichitrapur mangroves of Odisha coast. I will just give emphasis on some of the mangroves of these regions. Let me first tell about this Bhitarkanika mangroves. We know this Bhitarkanika, it is a national park, and the mangrove forests are developed on the region where the Brahmani and Botany river meet the Bay of the Bengal in the Kendrapara district of Odisha. It is a national park as well as a Ramsar site. Some specific wetland areas are designated by Ramsar sites. And we see that these mangroves of the Bhitarkanika are very famous for the salt turtle crocodiles and sea turtles. These sea turtles, they come from the Pacific Oceans to lay their eggs there. Now I am showing you some pictures of the mangroves of Bhitarkanika that I have taken during my research work. You can see that these mangroves are found in the creeks and canals where the river meets the sea. And you can see that these mangrove vegetation are found on both sides of the creeks. They have very strong root system and only mangrove plants can develop there, not other plants cannot develop, because this area is saline water, is having saline water, and these mangroves have these features. This is the, I have taken this photograph during our field tour. I have just taken this photograph 2 to 3 years back, and you can see how mangroves are there, and you can see these crocodiles. This Bhitarkanika is famous for the saltwater crocodiles. This crocodiles is just sleeping, and you can see this mangrove forest of Bhitarkanika is the only forest which is famous for the saltwater crocodiles in our country. These mangroves of this Royal Bengal tiger, the Royal Bengal tiger of the Sundarban Delta is famous for the Sundarban Delta mangrove forest is famous for Royal Bengal tiger, and the saltwater crocodiles of Bhitarkanika is famous for the mangroves of the Bhitarkanika. You can see the root system of the mangroves, still root system of this Rhizophora species. We call it as rye plant in local languages. The Sundarban, its name is from the plant Sundari, Heritaria forms. Its local name is Sundari. And this picture shows you the features of this Rhizophora plant, Rhizophora apiculata, and we call it rye plants in the local language. With the help of this tilt root system, it can check the soil erosion. And because of this rooting system, that is cyclones and a tsunami, it has less effect in these areas. And next part of slide, I will show you the mangroves of the Mahanadi Delta. In fact, the mangroves in this region, their status is much alarming. And as their status is alarming, that has given alarm to us during the 19th Super Cyclone. We must know that, we must recall, this 99 Super Cyclone in the state of Odisha have caused irreparable loss. It has just given an alarm that unless we conserve these mangrove species, time will come, we may become victim of many natural situations, the natural environmental calamities. You can recall this effect of the Fani 2 years back. This Fani has converted the smart city of Bhubaneswar to a very disastrous situation. It is because of the loss of mangroves in the Krishna Prasad area. I have visited that area. In the Krishna Prasad area, in the Chilka Lake area, at earlier times there were much mangroves, but these mangroves have been cleared. Areas have been converted into piscicultures or prawn culture, and we all have become the victim of this Fani. And in fact, I just can say this Baleswar area is susceptible to cyclones and tsunami. What I have observed in the Chandipur area, there were mangroves in the past. Even if in the Chilka Lake there are mangroves in the past, but these mangroves have been cleared. We can know about the evidence of the mangroves from the Chilka Lake by a study called palino-stratigraphical study. When you dig the moss up to 2 to 3 meters, we found the pollen grains of these mangrove plants. So the status of the mangroves in the Mahanadi Delta is much alarming, and the status of the mangroves, I have visited all these areas during my research work. The status of the mangroves is very precarious in Paradip because of the establishment of Paradip Port, Paradip Phosphate Limited, etc., etc. Similarly, the situation in Batighar area, Ukitula Island, Jambu Island, Ramnagar area, and also the situation is very precarious in Jotadharman area, where the POSCO project was to be started, and also in the Devi Estuary. I am showing you the status of the mangroves in Paradip area. This slide I have taken 20 years back. This is the pictures of the PPL. The status of the mangroves is much denuded condition. You can see the mangroves. These are the Henthala plants, Phoenix pallidosa, from the name Henthalaban comes. However, Government of Odisha, the Ministry of Environment and Forest, Government of India, they have taken much initiatives, and now this is the Hukitula Island. This Ukitula island was an island. This building was constructed by the Britishers for the storage of arms and ammunition. These islands have got more significance because it has thick mangrove cover, and because of its geographical location, it is an ideal site for in situ conservation. So you can see this is the picture of the super cyclone I have taken in the year 1999. How you can see how damage it has caused in this Ukitula island. And in the last part of my slide, I will just give you some light on the mangroves of Sartha estuary that I have visited last years. We have seen that in the super cyclone, the mangroves also have changed the course of this mangrove vegetation in the Sartha estuary. This Baleshwar district is famous for the mangroves of this Talsar estuary in the Vichitrapur area, which is a place of ecotourism, and also Sartha. In the Sartha estuary, artificial mangrove forests have been created by an NGO that is called Navdania, whose chief is Bandana Sibha, the famous environmentalist of our country. And I am showing this picture of these mangroves of Sartha estuary. This is the species of Rhizophora micronata. And this is the picture I have taken with one of the another environmentalist of this region, Dr. Ashok Panigrahi. Both of us have visited this area. The places where we are standing was once upon a creek. Water was there. You can see this super cyclone. It has transferred this moss to these localities. Now a way has been created. So nature very often changes the course of the path of the vegetation, and we have to adjust with that. So this is all about a brief idea about this mangrove vegetation in the state of Odisha. And you can see the restoration of the mangrove vegetation that has been done by the involvement of the local people. In the present time, conservation as well as restoration of this mangrove vegetation is very much essential for the protection of our coastal environment. This Navdanya organization have involved local people for growing mangrove forest in these areas. And in the concluding part of my talk, I just want to tell you that these mangrove forests in the coastal area plays a very important role for the protection of coastal environment. The state of Odisha in particular and other coastal regions in India in general needs extensive plantations of mangroves. Our state of Odisha is susceptible to cyclones and tsunami. So the government, public, common people should involve themselves to develop mangroves in these areas, which can protect us from future cyclones and tsunami. An example that in the Ho Chi Minh city of Vietnam developed artificial mangrove forests, and these mangrove forests helps for the protection of the coastal environment. So this is just a broad idea about this, that is the role of the mangroves for the protection of the coastal environment. And so in my talk, I have just given you a broad idea about the role of mangrove vegetations for the protection of the coastal environment. Also, we know that the area where we are here also harbors another resource of biodiversity, that is the Similpal Biosphere Reserve, which is an important source of mountain biodiversity. This Biosphere Reserve status has been given by the UNO, United Nations Organization. There is a body called Man and Biosphere Program, and it is a resource of biodiversity of our state. It contains many endemic plants. I am just giving you an example. One plant is there, that is Bulbophyllum panigrahianum. The scientist Gopinath Panigrahi, as per his name, that plant has been named. only through our state. The Similpal Biosphere Reserve is famous for this tiger project. It is also famous for a number of endemic orchids. Orchids are certain plants, or we call it epiphytes, which grow upon other plants. We must know that many orchids are there which have been reported for the first time in the state of Odisha. In our locality, we have this Kuldia Wildlife Sanctuary, which is also a resource of biodiversity. So in the state of Odisha, nature has provided us rich biodiversity, and it is our duty to protect this biodiversity. Unless we give protection to our biodiversity, biodiversity will not protect us. So not only the students and faculty of botany, it is the duty of all the common man to protect our biodiversity. It is essential for our food, it is essential for our health, it is also essential for the protection of our environment. This is in brief about my broad idea about this biodiversity conservation. So I thanks to the members of this Remuna Degree College for giving me an opportunity, and also you are free to ask me some questions related to this topic. Okay, some questions are there in the chat box. I am just looking. So today topic is bare necessity for understand the importance of biodiversity. Thank you, sir. Okay, one question is there. What are the negative effects of biodiversity? Okay. Negative of biodiversity. Everything have some positive effect as well as a negative effect. The thing is that the way we use. For example, I am telling you, when you talk about the conservation of biodiversity, we have to conserve the elephants. But now the elephants are causing much menaces to us. We have to conserve the saltwater crocodiles. Unless we take cautious, these crocodiles are also killing some people. Tigers are also killing some people. So the biodiversity conservation should be done in a very scientific manner. Sometimes excess growth of certain plants also is not useful to us. So in that case, we may utilize, that is called judicious utilization of natural resources or biodiversity. So those biodiversity which are found in excess amount, we can clear them. But it should be done in a very judicious manner. So in general, we say biodiversity have less negative effect. When everything has certain bad effects as well as the good effects. And the negative effects of the biodiversity, for example, excess growth of certain plants may become harmful to us. So in that case, we can clear it. So the thing is that, it has less negative effects. Okay. Then any other questions can anybody ask me?
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Sir, you have nicely explained importance of biodiversity and its protection by giving such suitable examples. We are forgetting about our basic needs from the environment. Actually, environment gives us it now these days. Loss of biodiversity is taking place as alarming rate, and as a result, we are facing unsolving problem day by day. Sir, also you have explained the role of mangrove vegetation and its protection. Otherwise, it will destroy. Mangroves are unique because they are a gift of the tides along low-lying tropical and occasionally subtropical coastal areas, along the margins of estuaries, deltas, coastal lagoon, and brackish tidal water. water. And Dear our Dr. Rabindra Kumar Mishra is not available unavailable circumstances. Session for Assistant Professor Botany, Mahanadi College, Remuna. Mrs. Anjana Mehta.
Careless. Aku lihat problem. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon to all. I would like to express my gratitude to honorable speaker who has spared his precious time for us and bless this occasion with his presence. I would like to express my gratitude and thankfulness to Dr. Ravindra Kumar Naik, sir, Reader in Environmental Science and Director CDC, Fakulty University, Malaysia. Sir, you have explained so many things about different types of biodiversity and also importance of mangrove vegetation. Many thanks, sir, for giving your precious time from your busy schedule. Thank you, sir. I would like to thank our beloved principal, Mrs. Jayanti Naik Madam, for your vision and commitment to work and execution. For your guidance, we are able to organize this influential webinar with meaningful topics. You are always our inspiration, and your inspiration helps us to excel in all endeavors. I would like to thank our department head, Mr. Sanjay Kumar Behera sir, for your immense contribution and support for this webinar. I would also like to thank our organizing secretary, Mrs. Rasmita Bhaiya Madam, for her heartful support. Behind every successful program lie the manifold attempts of our committed faculty. I would like to thank a moment to acknowledge the immense contribution of our dedicated organizing committee members and also our technical support staff. Finally, in the end, I would extend my wholehearted gratitude to our distinguished invitees present here, accepting our invitation. Last but not the least, I thank our illustrious participants who always live up to our expectations and who are our pillars of strength. Thank you all for making this program a huge success.
ଆପଣ ଜଏନ୍ କରିଥିଲେ ନା ଆପଣ ଜଏନ୍ କରିଥିଲେ କରିଥାନ୍ତି ନା ୟୁଟ୍ୟୁବ୍ ଦେଖିଥିଲେ ସେ ୟୁଟ୍ୟୁବ୍ରେ ଦିଅନ୍ତୁ ସେଠୁ ଆଣିକି ଏଠି ପେଷ୍ଟ କରନ୍ତୁ ୟୁଟ୍ୟୁବ୍ ଗ୍ରୁପ୍ରେ ନା ୟୁଟ୍ୟୁବ୍ ଦେଇନି ट्रेनिंग